It feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time.
It feels like the first time. It feels like the very first time.
Hey everybody, welcome to the First Time Show. I'm really surprised I got the name of the podcast right.
Oh dear.
I'm at a point in my life where
it's all downhill from here.
I do too many podcasts. I think I'm just going to say it. I have too many podcasts. I need to take a break. So this is my announcement. I'm quitting Dynamic Banter. Mike doesn't know yet, but I figured you guys should know first. And I'm quitting the First Time Show. And I'm moving to Kansas. Guys, welcome to the First Time Show. We're talking about Lovecraft Country. None of that is true. I don't know if you need me to clarify. It's not true. It's definitely not true. Welcome. We're talking about episode 3 of Lovecraft Country, entitled Holy Ghost. And I'm so back. I'm back in, baby. I'm so back in. Are you back in, Brett?
Oh, I mean,
Hesitation.
that infers I left the party.
Okay.
Well,
I feel
look,
like I stayed.
Same, but there was a little bit of caution.
There was a point at which the party thinned out, and you were like,
I was just
should
worried
we start
because
saying our goodbyes? But the party is rocking again. We just needed that moment where it's like it's an anthology.
You know, the moment where the train
but it's
came
also
in.
narrative throughout.
Yeah, and
So now
and I think
our expectations, I think, are correct.
we have a confirmation that there seems to be a certainly a sort of anthology-esque anthological skew to the
I'm gonna
series.
call it compounding anthology.
That's a great way to call it. I dare
That's
you
what
to
I'm
call it
going with.
again.
Well, I guarantee I'll say it again before the end of this podcast.
But what I want to say is that, man, there was a slight worry.
I wanted to be back. Like, I wanted this one to be great. You know what I mean?
Me too. And
Me
it was.
too.
I was counting on it. I was like, if this one,
Right.
this one has to be great. There was a lot riding on this one
would,
for me.
and it did. I thought it would right the wrongs of the last one.
Yeah.
In as much as it's like, okay, yeah, that's gonna matter, but it's only gonna matter on a macro level.
Right.
When you guys are saying this one and that one, you're talking about episodes? I thought you meant like the last show we did.
No.
Oh, no. We're talking about
We're
2 and
not.
3.
The last show is but a distant dream at this point. We are on to the next.
Hi.
I think I'll be very clear if I'm talking about leftovers. No, we're talking about, because look, the last episode of the show wasn't as good as the first episode of the show. Period. It just wasn't. And so
the second episode wasn't as good as the first episode.
yes. And so
What
there
if
was
this
a
show
lot.
crosses over with leftovers?
Don't you dare. There was a lot riding on this episode being very good, or at least picking up the feeling that something might not be good in the show. And it was important. A lot was riding on this one.
Yeah, I know.
And,
I'm here. I was there and I'm here still too.
I was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
and I was everywhere. But
I was
there
just
and I was
clarifying
here.
to be certain because you were saying a lot of that and this and
I was
not
just-
specifications.
I was
just
just
clarifying.
worried-
That's all.
I was worried they were going to do the leftovers thing where they were like, because even Alana was like, uh-oh, we're watching a new Leftovers, essentially, because, you're not sure if, like, the events of the last episode are canon in this weird new episode
You just
where
have
she's
no
buying
idea.
a house and
You're like, are they in the same universe? Are they back in time? Are they forward in time? Could they? Is she being impersonated by a slime monster?
yeah, you
like
just
who
weren't,
knows?
You weren't sure, and so I was like, "All right, here we go." But when they completely clarified that there was a passage of time and they were all keeping the
They
fantastical
were keeping up with the
events,
Kardashians.
They were keeping the fantastical events that happened to them in the last episode a complete secret from their family and friends, and that's how they're choosing to move on from that horrific ordeal they all went through. And I like that they address that, and so we're back on track with it being just kind of a passage of time, and now that the episode is over, we have like an actual like story. We have like an end game. It feels like. But I'm also not sure, because in the next episode it could be another mini finale to that whole thing. They find the pages of this Book of Adam or whatever, and then that's that. They kill the girl or whatever. But
No.
maybe not. Maybe this is the actual. This is where we're going.
Which girl?
Exactly.
I think that we just have to understand, and we have to like acknowledge there hasn't been a show like this before that I can remember.
Right.
Because this episode felt like it was clearly, we're going to do something a little different each episode. We're probably going to touch on a Lovecraft story in some way each episode. But it's all contributing to a larger narrative. I'm really interested to read the book at this point.
Yeah.
I wonder how the book breaks down.
Me too. Somebody
If the book is just a bunch of short stories and the show kind of created these two characters to carry us through, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I was wondering that in the episode too. Also, somebody on Twitter, this is not a spoiler, although don't ever tell us about the book again, because I almost just didn't read this tweet. He was like, not a spoiler, but on the... Anyway, he said something like, we talked about how much was covered in the last episode, in episode 2, and he said that's nothing compared to how much happens in the book and gets covered and etc. So,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess we won't be able to like cross-reference book stuff without getting too spoilery
until the final episode. We should have someone on in the final who's read it.
But even then, it's like, because a lot of book series turn to TV series type things, kind of implement things from like a number of books into one season or whatever. And for all we know, we could be like, all right, end of the season, let's dig into this Lovecraft Country book and see what's going on. And then there's like a massive spoiler for like the next season or something, like in the first book. Or in that book or whatever. I don't know. I just want to play it safe and kind of.
I've got it on order from the library. It's 8 weeks out.
Here's what I want.
I'll have it.
Here's
what the show ends.
Here's what I want to happen.
Which library app do you use?
I want to wait till the show is over.
Libby. Shout out Libby.
I want to wait till the show is over, and then I want to find out from someone who has read the book and watched the show if it's safe to like now dig into the book.
Yeah. I'm serious. I want to have someone...
Meckler.
Yeah, we should have someone who's read it on our last episode.
Hey guys, it's time for a new segment on the show. Text Meckler. Brett's gonna text Meckler, and we're just gonna wait for him to do that.
Alexa, text Ben Meckler.
Cringe.
And that's been Text Meckler.
This has been...
Usually Steve and Brett have matching headbands, and today Brett and I have matching hair.
That's right. We've reached baby bun phase of quarantine. For me.
I'm proud of you, Brett.
I've just I don't care. I just lost all ability.
All right, let's talk about this fucking
I've worn
show.
this shirt for several days.
Letty,
and every time I look in the mirror, it makes me happy.
Letty is a wonderful character. She's incredible.
I love her.
And I love her so much more now because she's such a badass. And she's
Does
so
it feel
strong.
like they took her on like a visual journey this episode?
Yes.
She's always looked so like poised and composed, and her makeup is perfect. In this episode, they really like stripped her down to a point that in that last scene where she's with the ghost, she has no makeup on at all.
Yeah. And she's like
It was
bruised and torn up, and
right.
she starts like in the most beautiful dress she's worn the whole season that is absolutely epic and
wonder,
incredible.
I wonder if they were going for like her kind of losing it progressively in the episode and then visually representing that in the lack of makeup by the time she's about to exorcise some demons.
Well, it is a Letty's episode, I think. So
certainly, and I'll take 2 more, and I
thought this one was plain.
and 1 to go.
You thought it was plain?
Episode.
Who? What?
This was Honk's episode.
Is this a reference?
It's a lost joke.
Okay.
Um,
Wait,
sorry,
Brett,
Alana.
every time you move too much, I see, not too much, the lights, just the way that your
Yeah.
light, it's so crazy to have them getting brighter
It's
and
on-
darker.
It's on purpose. It's supposed to be scary.
It is so
Like a
scary.
little haunted house vibe.
It is so scary.
we
I feel like
got-
some special effect is going to pop out.
we got a total haunted house episode with ghosts that were gory and scary looking and fucking bizarre as fuck. That basketball baby.
I know that was
That was-
the face out of the pictures was a little rough.
Yeah, you
The
mean
face?
the one that was like
Oh.
get the fuck out of the house, that thing? Yeah.
The
Yeah.
rest of it was cool.
It was
It was
like
cool when they went,
Sandman from Spider-Man, whatever Spider-Man that was. What Spider-Man was that? Was
One
that
of the-
Spider-Man 2?
Wait, which one?
Was Sandman? Oh, that was Spider-Man 3.
What are you doing with your
That was Spider-Man
glasses?
3.
Spider-Man 3. It looked like Sandman to me.
That was original trilogy Spider-Man 3.
Original Raimi trilogy.
Raimi trilogy.
Wait, while we're on the topic of that, can I also say, I don't know if
Absolutely not. We have to move on.
I don't know if we
Can't talk about
needed.
Spider-Man
We've got
right now.
so much to go through.
I don't know if we needed the scene with the kids doing the Ouija board. So I'm wondering if it's
yeah.
going to come back around in future episodes because it kind of felt like
What did it
like-
so
spell?
random.
It's like
I
a-
didn't want to run it back. I
it's-
wanted to just take it
it
for
liter-
face value.
it said-
and I got
literally
it
said
said
George,
George is
dead.
dead.
Yeah.
and that's why she was like, that's not funny because George is her dad.
But here's the thing.
George is
I
our
feel
character
like-
who died last episode.
I feel like they just
Two.
wanted their Stranger Things moment.
Yeah, the whole thing I was like, I mean, I'm getting the ghost thing. You don't need to Ouija me for me to understand it.
Don't Ouija me.
Are we supposed to know those kids?
Exactly. We only
We
know
know
the
the
one
one,
kid.
right?
No,
Yeah,
we're
The
not supposed to know
girl?
those
we only
kids.
know the girl. So maybe it's like starting us in on her life a little. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see you next week.
I agree because there was very little payoff.
It
for
was
that.
just so random. It felt like. So I wonder if
then-
it's going to come around.
And then they said, what do they call her? D, like Lil D or
Yeah,
something.
something like that.
Yeah, D. I feel like they were setting her up as like a baseball bat wielding ghost puncher. Did you get that
Okay.
moment? I only got it because they said something that made me think. Because someone said
They told the story.
Oh, it was Tick.
It was Jackie Robinson
Is it
comes
Tick?
through and saves the day, and he says, "I got you, kid."
No, that and then Tick. It's Tick or Tig.
Tick.
So Tick.
Attic.
Oh, that's right, Atticus. I keep forgetting. It's Atticus's dad who was like
Papa Tick.
He was like, remember, the aunt was like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I just thought I'd like come see D or like hang out with D. She's got like a mean right hook with the bat or something." He said he had some line about how she was really good with the bat.
Yeah.
And I thought like, "Oh, that's going to totally pay off later as her like
Shit, yeah.
beating a ghost head off or something." And they also had her in the house experience some kind of paranormal thing, so I thought she was going to be a part of it somehow.
And she wears a jersey all the time.
Well, they
like-
didn't sell the house, you know?
Well, that's true, but
I
in
know, it
that
could
in
come
that
back.
episode, I really wanted to see her be a part of it because she also seems to be really in tune with like the supernatural stuff.
Does she?
And well, because she's a comic book nerd and she's reading like comic books about alien invaders and stuff.
Oh, so she has the potential to be in that.
It seems like she's nerdy enough to be like, I want to help
I
get
think
rid
that
of
they're
these
just-
ghosts.
I think these are all seeds. They're all being.
I
think so,
too. I
buried
think-
in
Sure,
dirt, and later in the season, it's going to be like, oh, okay, yeah,
Totally.
yeah,
I was just disappointed that there was no payoff in the episode with the Ouija board scene at all.
But you know, I think that's something they're doing because a few times now there's been something in a in the previous episode that gets paid off on episode later, like the death of the uncle. They had this whole setup where we're like, oh, he's gonna
Yeah.
die this episode, and it's not until the next episode that he dies. I feel like they're doing a different type of storytelling potentially with the way they're weaving payoffs.
Weaving
You guys
payoffs
fuck with
is-
Ouija?
No,
I like Green Jelly's cover of Weaving Payoffs.
green jelly.
no. Remember when it was green jello?
What? Wait, you know
What?
who Green Jelly is though?
No,
So it was green Jello, and they got sued, and they had to change it to green jelly.
Oh, that's so funny.
But I had the cassette tape that
That's
was green Jello.
No
My
way.
mom threw it away
Oh,
'cause she read the lyrics.
My mom.
I
Because
know.
she read the
She regrets it
lyrics?
now. She regrets it.
My mom threw away my Big Nipples Rule shirt, and I'll never forgive her for it. I found a shirt at a thrift store in Ventura that said in big white letters, "Big Nipples Rule." Fucking
Were they
greatest shirt.
dick-sized nipples?
Greatest
Guys,
shirt
we're
ever.
streaming on Twitch every night.
Almost every night. Anyway, so yeah, Ouija board
It's
seemed
fun when
kind
we
of
take jokes from-
unnecessary.
If you follow every single thing that Steve does,
It makes sense.
you can follow every joke.
If you're
Yeah.
in on the EZU,
And
then
if
you
you're not
know.
in, you're not in.
But this
the Reddit
episode
needs
was
to pick up and catalog all these so that there's
I-
like an encyclopedia.
I felt so much tension in this episode, more so because of the racists
Oh yeah,
and not because
yeah.
of the ghosts. I was more afraid of the racists,
Which I think is perfect and very Jordan Peele, and I'm 100% in on that.
which is a great point to make. But
Mm-hmm.
again, I don't know how much Jordan Peele is actually involved in this.
Okay, well,
Like he might have,
still.
but he
I
would.
think is it Misha Green?
I
It's
think
Misha
so.
something.
I think so. Misha Green, yeah.
I mean,
Misha
like-
Green.
Knowing what I know about producing TV shows, they're JJ and Jordan are definitely working on something else, and they're watching episodes and they're giving like thoughts.
Yeah. And they wouldn't put their name on it if the creators and the writers and the directors weren't doing things that they were like, we're behind this.
Well, what
Like,
I
we like
what I
this.
mean by him potentially having input, like we'll never know, but
Yeah, true,
potentially
true.
when she pitched it to him, maybe he was like, "Sure, but I'd really like it to feel like the racist aspect is scarier than the actual supernatural." Like I feel like that's a very Jordan Peele's
Oh,
input
I feel
conversation.
like that's got to be in the book.
That's what I'm saying. Like
Call a book Lovecraft Country and make it about this. It's got to be about like the
that's
juxtaposition
so
of
true.
the way white people treated people of color during this time was so bizarre. The only way to explain it is to parallel it to like aliens, ghosts,
Exactly.
like everything weird and terrifying that white people have for years been afraid of. The only way to truly make us understand what they went through is to parallel that with like, hey, you know, at night when you're getting up to go to the restroom and you hear something in the other room and you're terrified. That's what we went through in real life.
That's
And we
what living
this
was
is,
like.
Real terrors that we had to deal
And
with.
am I reading too much into this? But they also seem to be connecting the type of racists or the type of the type of shit that these people had to deal with during that time. They're connecting it with kind of like the type of monster it is. Like, you know how there was the sundown town. It was the sundown town situation where they were basically hunted at night to be taken out of town, and the monsters only came out at night to come attack them.
And they were in the forests where these murders would happen, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
And it really seems like they're
I mean, certainly the antics are mirroring.
the
which
which might be
shit is
another
mirroring itself. Yeah.
which might be another book thing, which might be like something that was very apparent in the books.
I think it's just
or
good
in the
writing
book.
too. Like
And it's just good
gotta-
writing.
That's a way to do it for sure.
But I felt so tense from the
Massage I got earlier, and I don't know what she did wrong.
no, I feel so tense about the racists and what our beloved main characters had to deal with, and how prepared they were for when they got their guns and their weapons out to protect themselves.
It feels like they're getting stronger. Is that weird?
Well, I
felt
think,
like I had more confidence in their ability to deal with it.
but I think that like they're also used to it. Like Alana said, this isn't their first rodeo, probably because of how they threw everything into the trunk. Like the sister came out.
You're
with the
definitely dealing with
and took
racism.
off.
They're
It
used to it.
It just feels to me like they've done this before. Like they've done this exact thing before, or something very similar to it. And the way that they were so
she even says at the end, like, you can't go around killing white women.
right, exactly. But I liked. It felt so. It's so eye opening because there's so much in that you're seeing that really happened. For a fact really happened. but the history books we had didn't go any deeper than surface level hardships for people of color. But I didn't fucking know that, like, that's probably fucking real. It has to be real.
That's what I wrote in my notes. I wrote a fucking history lesson in every episode.
And I love that, man. Like, I need this.
What you're responding to, I think, is the entire purpose of the show.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about a fucking haunted house, and the scariest thing about it is the people who live across the street.
You know what it is? It's a curriculum for, it's like history of African American people of color. It's like history. It's a history lesson in a curriculum for people that like love horror shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you love horror and you want to learn about things that they didn't teach you in school about Jim Crow era America, come watch Lovecraft Country, and then afterwards we're gonna watch Watchmen. And we're going to, like, dissect all of these real-life moments and then all of these written moments and the juxtaposition of both real-life things. And it's, like, a class that's like, oh, fuck, it's history made really cool. It's history made cool in the way that you're, like, these stories
it's just super smart. It's super smart.
It's super
going
smart.
Like, hey,
super smart.
I'm going to find you where you were afraid.
Right.
Jaws made people not want to go to the beach. And they're basically saying, like, yeah, that's scary because there was a shark. We're afraid to leave our home.
Right. Right. You guys are going...
We could be killed for doing that. And it's still true today. And it's like finding that kind of common ground, I think, is the smartest thing the show is doing.
Well, and it's utilizing something that's so widely viewed, like a HBO series. And it's utilizing that audience and that projection and that platform for a really good thing, for not just like, here's a show about, you know, some fuckers getting into trouble and they're stoners and it's gonna be funny and they're musicians or whatever, and it's like, oh, that's a cool show. But it's so fucking enlightening and wonderful and beautiful and amazing when you can take a story that's like engaging and interesting and cool and makes you feel empowered and gives you all those wonderful emotions that you want from something like this. And then intertwined is the history of an oppressed peoples that's shown to you in a way that's like more historically accurate than anything we were taught in school. And that's like fucking so cool. It's like Magic School Bus for adults.
Wow, that's a great analogy.
You could teach it all day, but it's just not going to be as effective as
having ghosts kill racists.
Watching a white person break into a black person's house, get their head knocked off by an elevator, and be like, "That's what you fucking deserve, dude."
It was like, the most satisfying.
There's no way for my history teacher to lay that down in the same way.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no. I'm sorry to history teachers, but there's no history teacher on the earth that could.
Like, there's a world where I'm like, this is the education I want.
Right.
Yeah.
My son, where it's like, just show him Lovecraft. Do 10 weeks on Lovecraft County.
Right.
And
country
class. Like,
I think there's also something to be said for like our age absorbing this at this age.
I'm gonna keep calling it county. Listen, my brain has decided that's what it's fucking called.
You try telling that to the people of Lovecraft Country, okay?
Because I can imagine even watching this from an education perspective in high school, which was my last time having American history because I went to art college. You'd absorb it differently, obviously. Like, you're a different person.
I guess that's true.
At different ages, and like, just
sure,
it's something that's really. I agree with you that obviously something like this, when we were first educated about American history, would have been incredible if it was like appropriate violence wise, obviously, and sexual wise. But there's still a hole when it comes to learning about these things as an adult once your mind is a little different and able to absorb things and understand them differently as well.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
When there's no more mandatory education.
I remember watching Requiem for a Dream, and I might have been too young, but I remember watching it and going like, oh, I never want to do any of those fucking drugs. That's a nightmare. And then I remember people saying like, we should just show that to kids. Like, we should just show that to like teenaged, too young kids and be like, this is not just a work of fiction. This is what happens when you like get into the really, really hard, disgusting drugs. You have your arm cut off, and shit like that, or you die. And
but it's hard to compare those because that's not really education about stuff. It's more like scare tactics.
But I'm just saying
which is totally no. I want to point out though, like, because I don't want us to be minimizing. I know you don't intend this.
Oh, I totally don't.
I'm saying it for the three of us in case anyone misunderstands. We're not trying to say that the education the show is giving is just scare tactics.
No,
it's a little bit more.
I'm just saying history. That if there was like a school for like nerds, we could have. You could just have classes about all of these different things.
Well, no, I think that you're absolutely tapping on the exact same
purpose,
like educational process. Yeah, purpose, because entertainment is the most powerful educational tool we have. When a teacher's up there and talking about George Washington or whatever, you don't have a relationship with George Washington the same way you have a relationship with these characters and the characters in Requiem. And when he gets his fucking arm sawed off, you're like, I'm sad for that character. I wish he hadn't made those choices. And by extension, you go, maybe I shouldn't make those choices.
Exactly.
And when you watch these characters where it's like, hey, these racist assholes are clearly the villain and it's just insane that it's even happening. You're like, maybe I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's going to be more powerful than any any textbook can possibly teach you.
I think you're right. I think I certainly think just like a curriculum that's meant for a general populace is kind of meant for that. I feel like it won't work for everybody, but there's probably a large amount of if you have slight empathy in you as a young child, then
that's
you'll.
Why Owen isn't on this episode.
Right, exactly. Then you'll instantly associate with these characters and feel and put yourself in their position and empathize with these characters, and then that hopefully makes you feel like you don't want to do those things.
Wait, on the education point though, I would interject that's about where books come in. I think that's why there's mandatory reading as well, because it's intended for you to learn.
But also books won't
characters.
Always connect with someone, and some people.
But I think the bigger problem with books is that so far what's been I don't know what the term is, like allowed to be mandatory book reading for the United States at certain ages.
Reading?
Yeah, what's on the allowed list for required reading are all like things written by white authors about the white experience, et cetera, mostly white male.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're getting better about that, though. I think a lot of curriculum is updating, not necessarily, unfortunately, not race specific, but it's like when I was going to school, we read a lot of very classic literature that just didn't hold relevance to what was happening in the 90s. When I was growing up, but I found books like 1984 and The Jungle, and there's a bunch of books that were really impactful to me. But I love to read. You kind of have to be there. I think TV and film is an easier in for kids, but if you find a dork like me, I'll read a book.
Exactly.
Man.
I just think that there's like people that are gonna associate more with the moving picture with a film or a TV show or something than they are with like the written word, and vice versa, and there's just all types of people, and I think it would be hard to zero in on like you'd have to just get to an age where I don't know, where you can make a choice, I guess.
I think it's a different type of education. I think it's apples and oranges. I wouldn't be comparing them that way. But
look, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I just want to say I'm glad this exists.
Right.
This show, no matter what happens from this point on in the show, I realize now that it doesn't matter if it's not like the most perfect story with the most well done visual effects. And I just think there's something so much more important going on in the show, and I think that the things that they're showing us that certainly that I believe have totally happened to real Americans in our actual history, I think that
Not just believe, it's fact.
I know, but there could be, you know, some of it could be fabricated, but we don't know how exactly these incidences occurred. I'm just saying that however they're portrayed in the show, I'm sure really happened. I'm just saying that the fact that a show on HBO being shown to so many people, being accessible to so many people, is more important than like all of this monster stuff being cool.
Oh, 100%. That's the only reason I'm in for us watching
That's
this.
why
I'm
I
like,
feel
monster.
like even if the show...
Yeah, but I feel like when you do that, it's like
Dangerous.
you open yourself up for criticism about
That's true.
like for the criticism to be like, well, this VFX is pretty shitty and like it's really not a good ghost story and this, you know what I mean? Like you allow people to review and kind of cover it from a perspective of like, I mean, it could be better from a craftsmanship perspective. And so to that end, I'm like, I do wish that they had gone a little like harder with it. Like you think about like what Cary Fukunaga, I think I'm saying that right?
The guy who
with
did
True Detective
Yeah.
season 1, where it's like beyond it just being like people were in on that show, but it also was like visually was a masterpiece. So
Yeah.
people were just like breaking down the cinematography of it, the like craft of it. And I feel like with this, I do think they're like, you know, I don't know, like HBO might have given this like a teeny budget in comparison to like Game of Thrones, for instance. So
Yeah.
they might not have the money to get there, but I do like the one thing I would say is I wish that the craftsman pieces were a little better so that there's nothing to fault it for. And you can really kind of like
I see
dig
that.
into what's amazing about it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think I can totally agree with that. But if the visual effects end up being like the one thing that's keeping it from being perfect, then I think it's still a win for what they're trying to do. And for what they're doing, I think it's still a win for me. But I also feel like
I think of it from like a sell-in perspective.
Yeah,
like if
yeah,
I
yeah.
grab a friend who doesn't like sci-fi and horror, like it's gonna be a hard sell, you know.
But I also feel like no, totally. But it is seemingly so far they're handling horror very well. I think that there's some really strange, unique, from just a purely horror perspective, strange and unique horror things happening that I'm really appreciating. And if those things happened in a movie, I'd be like talking about them with my friends. Like that basketball baby, that I'd be talking about that forever with my friends. I'd be like, all right, who's your top 5 movie monsters?
Basketball baby.
Well, okay.
Who's your top 5 basketball baby?
No, it's
All
like
right, we got Kareem Olajuwon. What's
no, it's
the
like,
baby?
It's like, who's your top movie monsters? Jason, you know, like Freddy, the basketball baby. You know, I just think that it's just there's some really cool horror things going on, and I'm really loving it and digging it, and I love the gore and the weird. I just love what they're doing. I think they're doing great. And hopefully, if this season does really well, they just keep going. And then if they get a second season, I'm sure with how they're doing, they'll get more of a budget, and maybe the visual effects will get better too. But
Amen.
But we'll see. All right. Anything else we want to talk about? There was a mention of Martin Luther King.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool.
I didn't even catch that. Steve caught it. Did you catch it, Brett? Should we say when it happened?
No, wait, what?
Yeah, Steve, tell it.
Yeah, there was
When?
during the party scene when Letty is like pouring drinks for everybody. There were people in the room, and they were talking about a reverend that's supposedly going to start the movement, and they were like,
he was going to marry a white woman, but then they made him marry a black woman.
Yeah, and
then
they said what his name was, and they were like, he's going
Michael,
by,
but now he's going by Martin
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear he's going by Martin now. And then they're
That's
talking
really
about
interesting. There's a scene. The episode opens with Letty in church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot,
And
we
when I
never
went
go
back to pull clips, I watched that scene again, and I had completely it just glazed over me rewatching it. I was like, such a powerful scene. Thinking about where we came from the last episode to start that way, where she's sitting there and like knowing what the episode is about, watching it back, like her having to process and deal with everything that's going on and like everything in her head. It's a really cool scene, and it's just that. And there's like I want to say a voiceover. It might have been the preacher, but it's just that, and then it goes into the opening credits, and it was like I just lost it after that because it had that kind of text roll about the people found in the house, like Blair Witch style. And but going back and rewatching it, I thought that was like a really, really cool scene.
Yeah, no,
I
I mean,
the first time around.
So that's interesting, yeah, because that scene just kind of like I figured, oh, whatever this is, it's gonna come back thematically in some way in the episode.
Yeah,
and I had kind of forgotten about it by the time we had gotten to the racist ghost killers or the racist ghost
doctor,
and then the racist
and the
who were then
ghosts,
killed.
the ghosts who kill racists.
Yes,
it is interesting.
Right.
This episode I felt like was really heavily pulled from for the trailer. There was a lot of trailer moments in this episode, and I'm like, oh man. Thinking about the other kind of pieces in the trailer, I'm like, there's a lot to go. Because in my head, I'm like, how are they going to factor in all of these pieces? But like her coming out with the burning cross in the background was a really, really like, powerful snapshot in the trailer, and I feel like they really brought that home,
and
in a way that was like it. But it was like. I don't want to misrepresent this, but it's like I felt like that was a really powerful scene where it was like they took the power away from a burning cross. They didn't knock the cross down. They let it.
They just completely ignored it. Yeah.
And they were just like that. That was cool. I like that scene a lot.
Yeah, and I wonder if what was I gonna say about the? It sucks that the cops didn't say anything about the burning cross or anything. They just were there to.
Well, they wouldn't during that time.
Yeah, I know. It just sucks that they didn't.
Yeah. What do you mean it sucks? In what way?
Well, that they weren't like, I don't know. They're villains. They're evil. I didn't expect anything, but it just sucks that they're like, they're there to hassle them and say like, what's with all this fucking shit? What's with all the noise and shit? And not about like what happened here, and not like. I know that it's not that time, but it just sucks that that happens. It sucks that that's what that is.
Sucks that that's still happening.
Yes, sucks that that's still.
But
happening.
Overall, super good really good episode.
So
really good to kind of. It feels like this episode was a huge step forward in understanding what we're going to get week to week.
Yes.
And seeing the trailer for next week, I'm like, oh, here we go. We got an Indiana Jones episode coming up.
I know, I can't wait.
I love it. I love how this show's just like, fuck it, we're going full Indiana Jones, and there's gonna be some like, I don't know, maybe there's like ghosts and curses, and there's gonna be more magic.
They got that
obviously.
tiny bridge, and I'm like, man, you're lucky to have the bridge. I don't know if you saw Last Crusade. It wouldn't have been out at this point in history.
Well, I haven't seen it, but I plan on seeing it soon. Just kidding. That's ridiculous.
I like also the like very casual. There was a line where when they were discussing if they should tell the family what happened to George, like how he actually died. And so it must have been between the dad and Atticus. But he said, there's just a line where he says something about tell them white people have magic too. And I was like,
oh yeah, that's right.
Such a nice little like subtle way to bring in that black culture.
Yeah.
Or my understanding of African culture.
Interesting. You should bring that up. Is it time for clips?
It might be time
as he
for
looks
clips.
to the wall.
Sure, let's get to some clips. How does that sound, everybody?
Oh. What are you doing? There we go.
Clips.
Yes. Clips.
Clips. So, I mean, are you gonna choke me or?
I want everybody except Samuel to get up and get the fuck out.
All right, let's get to these clips. This first clip is called Wake.
I got you, kid.
Goddamn
Wait, you mean is it because of?
That's when he woke him up.
Is it the sounds he makes waking up?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I got you, kid.
Let's hear it again.
Okay.
I got you, kid.
Perfect.
It's great. Next clip.
So what? You want us to tell him that wizards exist? So what? You want us to tell him that wizards exist?
That's gonna be a great clip to keep coming back to. And our final clip. Oh, before she goes out there with her bat.
I just like that there was a horn.
Yeah.
Long horn.
I love a good long
It's hard.
horn.
Pulling clips on Lovecraft is hard.
It really is.
All right, so I guess it's time for emails, huh? Or no, Alana's thoughts. Alana, do you have your thoughts?
I have a few.
Oh, do the theme song.
Well, do you have thoughts, Alana?
I do have a couple.
Okay, great. Here we go.
Everyone shut up, cause Alana's talking. Everyone shut up, it's Alana's notes.
Makes me so happy.
I love that. That
It's
theme
so
song
good.
is everything.
Oh my gosh.
It's great.
I really need that file so I can listen all the time. Okay, the only thoughts that we haven't covered yet. I still haven't been getting into like themes because it's just a lot going on.
Certainly.
And we record so quickly after. I've barely processed. But I need to say, dear Lord, the fashion in this episode, I was screaming.
Oh, yeah.
on the
Alana
couch.
screamed a lot,
Oh my
especially during the
God.
sex scene.
Oh yeah. I screamed and slapped Steve with my foot.
She screamed
Throughout
for
the
like a
sex
good, like
I screamed through the whole sex scene.
like
the
a
entire sex
second
scene.
and a half.
No, I screamed through the whole thing.
I was just
slapping
happy
you.
it was really him. There was a moment.
I
where
know.
I was like, is this a ghost?
I know, and I was wondering if she was gonna have a moment where she's like, "No snake, all right, we're good."
Well, earlier in the
Yeah.
episode, I was like, can he just fucking kiss her already? And then that happened, so it was very good
What do you
payoff.
think about the fact that it took him getting jealous to do it?
I think
to
it's
make a move?
fine. I totally get his character and where he's coming
Yeah.
from. and
He's definitely not focused. He's focused on what the fuck happened at that house and his uncle and all the supernatural shit. He's not thinking about love and being with somebody.
I just think he wasn't.
I like that there was a guy who's like, we used to hook up in the past, and I'm thinking we could easily hook up tonight if that's cool with you. No, it's not cool. All right, I'm gonna get out of here.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that's what pushed him. Less the jealousy and more the fact that somebody else is noticing what's
for
going
sure.
on between them. Then he's like, okay, so it's not just me. It's definitely real.
I mean, she's like what, the hottest thing on the planet, and he's like, look, he's thinking that no one's gonna make a move on her and be like,
no, that's not what I'm saying at all.
no. I'm saying that out
Oh.
loud about
Oh, okay.
the whole thing. Like,
Mhm.
you got to strike while the iron's hot because she's a super catch, and like, someone's gonna snatch her up, dude. So you got to make your move.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that blue dress is the number one dress of my life at the moment, and I started
Devil in a blue
wondering
dress.
while we were watching the episode. I started wondering how much it would cost to get like that dress made so that I can own it. That's how deep it went. I was like, well, I know how much fringe costs, but how much does this cost? Anyway, I went off, and I might look into that. Another
Love it.
thing about the clothes I wanted to mention. God, every item of clothing in this show is my dream. Whoever's the costume designer, I can't believe I don't know who that is. I gotta look it up. But they had, I think it was George's wife's character. I don't remember her name. She was even wearing some Asian fabrics. Oh, and just like there, like for somebody who pays attention to costumes and clothing, there's so much storytelling in the clothing as well. Like, any good department has storytelling in their department, right? And just the storytelling in that, like they're showing so much like layers of culture going into these Black families and having them wear all these different types of outfits, letting them embody so many different types of characters and not just be this one-dimensional archetypical 50s Black person character. Like, I could just go on forever. The textures, the fabrics, the colors, the use of all of it together and variety and how it lends itself to the scenes. Oh my gosh. I'm just very hyped, and I'm particularly hyped about that blue dress and the fact that they use some Asian fabrics. The coolest.
I feel like I responded the same way you're responding about the fashion to the set design in this episode.
Oh my God, yeah. And the way they went together.
Really went for it.
They scissored right into each other.
Scissor me timbers.
Okay, so there's the clothing part. And then I just wanted to... Well, I don't know if you're going to talk about the Winthrop house, but I will talk about it later when
Jackpot.
Wait, Steve, are you going to read a wiki anything?
There is no info.
Okay,
really.
wait, let me talk about it then.
Okay,
because
go
I
for it.
Googled
Yeah,
it.
we're on our own.
So they kept calling the house that she rented or bought or whatever the Winthrop house. And I looked up if there's a real thing called the Winthrop house. First of all, there is like a... Oh, my video closed.
Alana is gone.
There's like a quote house that's like I think it's more like a fraternity type of house at Harvard called the Winthrop House, which I just thought was quite funny. But I don't think that's what they're referencing here. What they're referencing is in Chicago, obviously there was a lot of segregation and violence and not allowing of black people to try to enter what was considered white neighborhoods. So like I think they were talking about it. The north side is more white and the south side was more like black or whatever in their segregation in the past. But I looked up what the Winthrop house is in reference to, and it's in reference to, I think they called it like the Winthrop block or the Winthrop area, Winthrop block. And it's an area of North Chicago, like a block that was the first area that had black residents. And eventually they made, I don't know who they is, whoever set laws, allowed black people to rent property there, but that was the only place in North Chicago that black people were allowed to like rent or own property. And it apparently, I mean, I'm not a historian, so I'm doing my best to just quote what I've read here, but apparently it all started because a black chauffeur inherited a house on that block from the man that he chauffeured for. So it was in the same kind of style of like not able to have bought something themselves, but inherited it.
The chauffeur left it for him when he died or something?
No, he left it to the chauffeur. But yeah, that's I think what you meant to say.
Sorry, that is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So anyway, so very similar with that. And, you know, obviously all the talk of how violent shit was and wanting to fucking kick people out and stuff is very real.
I don't know about this language, but I do appreciate what you're saying.
Anyway, just wanted to mention
That's
Northrop
awesome.
Block is the real one. And if you want to Google it, I only found like one article, but the episode did just drop. So
Look at you doing the work for the wiki, the Lovecraft fandom page that should have this shit in there.
we'll Google Northrop Block
Come on, Lon.
Listen,
Chicago
I'll
if
see
that's
who-
what you
I'll
want to
see-
find out more
listen.
about. Okay.
Wait, where
I'm
do
sure
people
there's
go?
more info.
Where do people go to get
But
it?
this is just the basic bit I can spew in. I was just saying Google Northrop Block Chicago, because if you Google Northrop House, you'll just get stuff about Harvard.
I'll hit up Lon Harris and see what he can do about getting you a gig at fandom.
Where the fandom's at.
Wait, I have one last thing.
Oh, please.
Okay, my last thing is I just want to complete what we were saying about education and shout out to teachers who are fighting for having a more complete view of history and having more authors that are not just white men, et cetera, in their education. And I want to make a little footnote by saying I have a close friend who is a teacher, and she's, especially since COVID started and all this started happening, I've been talking to her a lot about her teaching, how it is, what's going on. And she started teaching a course in American history, and she has spoken to me about how difficult it is, and she's in a kind of a small school, and how difficult it's been just to try to fight to get more diversity in the authors that they're having their kids read alone. That I think she's in kind of the best position to be able to get that happening, and the fact that it's still so hard for her makes me wonder what it would be like for, like, I don't know, a teacher in the South in a big structured school system that really doesn't want to change their ways. Like, apparently it's been very much just like foot down, no is the answer. So any of you who are fighting for that, we are very grateful and happy.
We
and
salute you.
Thank you.
And Alana, we're gonna have to shorten your thoughts because that was way too long. No, I'm kidding. It's totally
Sorry.
No, I loved it. Please tell us more things like that on the show. Let's try to use our platform for some good too.
Well, I feel like this show is you can't talk about can't not talk about education
While you talk
when
about
you
the
talk
show.
about this
You're right.
show. It's
Good
like
point.
the purpose is education. So we're gonna
That's
end
right.
up covering it a lot.
All right, you shut up, Balky. I don't give a fuck. All right,
Balky.
his name is Balky.
I don't give a fuck, Balky.
I don't give a
Balky
fuck,
Dagoo.
Balky. All right, you guys want
Balky
to?
to goo.
Thank you, Alana, for sharing that, and thank you for the shout out to people who deserve the shout outs for spending their lives dedicated to educating people, and teachers are great. Okay, shall we get to emails?
Hi.
Brett?
Hit it.
Kevin.
Look who's here.
Fuck your daughter.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, shit! Billy Ray.
Officer Mustard Stain.
Time for some emails.
You believe in the power of a curse?
All right.
What's that
I
one
just thought about
from?
somebody trying to share this podcast and being like, they got some really good points, and it's like they really do a good job of kind of like, you know, preaching tolerance and progression, but there's a lot of really weird stuff.
It's just
and a lot of background,
weird
so
sounds.
You
and
probably
shit.
can't play it for your kids.
Yeah. Why not?
It's been.
All right.
I mean, you can. They're getting it all from YouTube anyway.
Let's get this music playlist going so we can have a little jazz or something going on while we hang out, huh? How's that sound?
Shout out to Steve for being able to do anything with 2 pairs of glasses on.
Thank you. I've been known to be brave when it comes to my lifestyle and my comedy. What am I looking for here? I'm losing my mind. Here we go. I found it. Excuse me. I was just looking for some music that we could listen to while we.
Ooh, she's loud.
That's not super loud. That's not really that loud.
That's
is
perfect.
it?
That's perfect and beautiful and beautiful and perfect and beautiful.
All right, let's get to some emails, guys. Jesus.
And Mary.
This feels like it's from the saddest part of a Tom Hanks 90s dramedy.
Yeah. God, my life is
The part where
over.
they're
What am I going to
dancing
do?
and they
I don't know how to
realize
get
it's never gonna
Christine
work
back.
out.
How am I going to get Christine back? You got to play the horn, Jimmy, like you never played it before. Tom Hanks is Horn Boy. All right, Nicholas Alstheim Yavelt sends an email saying, my first time experience. Hi there, you beautiful people. Hopefully I'm able to make this short enough for you, Mr. Zaragoza. I started listening to the podcast when you did Watchmen and love every episode. Thank you. This show also got me to finish The Leftovers, which I'm very grateful for. How about another honk? And I realized I had stopped watching at the same episode Alana dropped off.
I knew it.
One more honk.
My
All
friend did the
right.
same.
Which was fun. It's very exciting being introduced to Lovecraft Country, as I had not heard of it at all before you announced this would be the next show. As I'm lacking shows...
As I'm lactating.
As I'm lacking shows to watch, I also started re-watching Lost this week, respecting the format and listening to your podcast along with it. I just
Damn.
finished episodes 1 and 2 of season 2. I was not aware of this podcast when I watched Lost a couple of years ago. I somehow didn't watch it while it aired and had miraculously not been spoiled. So I saw this as a great opportunity to get even more awesome content from you guys.
That's so sweet.
So far, I love both the rewatch and the podcast. I was amazed to learn that the hashtag Brett Yes bit stems from the very first episode. Is it because this was your first time on a podcast or something? Or on
because you weren't confident that I would be able to commit to weekly. I think Mason was very young at the time. And you were like, what if we just call you halfway through the episode? And so I called in, and I was
That's the
like,
sound of the phone ringing.
You were like laughing about the fact that you told me to call like a certain time, and I called in the middle of your like conversation, and you're like, why don't you just join in? And I said, if you want more of Brett, just tweet #Brett.
Wait,
yes.
so you weren't originally going to be part of the show?
What's that?
You weren't originally going to be part of the show? Is that what you're saying?
I was down for it, but I don't think you had confidence that I would be able to make it every week, and you were worried. You were like really trying to build something. But I did. I made it through thick and thin. I'm still here.
Well, God bless you. I don't remember any of those days. Guys,
remember I gave you a ride home from E3 and we talked about doing it? I remember everything. Jamie gets mad all the time.
I'm glad you do. I love it. I'm not mad at all. Please help me recover my past. It is really cool that you guys have been able to keep respecting the format, and the show found its stride so quickly. Anyways, just wanted to show you guys some love. I write this email before watching episode 2 of Lovecraft Country, but my thoughts on the first episode is as follows. What the hell is this show, and may I please have some more? #FirstTimeShow, yes. Sent from my 32 MacBooks. #Humbleberg.
Wait, does he not know where 32 iPhones came from yet?
I don't know where that came
He
from.
must.
At this point.
Yeah, because Rousseau was season 1, I thought.
Well, he's only on episode.
No,
And he said he got to
way.
season 2.
Really?
But he's only rewatching up through episode 2. He probably forgot. Because I watched season 2, and I don't know what you're talking about.
He hasn't got to the 32 iPhones bit yet.
I don't know.
That's just become like canon.
Are you
in
sure?
This show.
Someone tell us.
Not in episode 1 and 2.
Someone tell. I thought he said season 1 and 2.
Oh yeah. Then yeah, he would have covered it. All right, fair enough.
Chris Edward Maningo says his mind is blown for Lovecraft Country. Hello, my name is Chris Edward, and yes, that is two first names.
I don't give a fuck, Becca the Goo. Tell someone else.
I didn't watch The Leftovers or Lost, however, did listen to the podcast, and boy was I confused about the plot. Anyway, back to the point. Watched the first 2 episodes, and geez, could not have predicted any of the horror elements of this show. Really loved the production value of the show. Like Alana mentioned, their clothing was fantastic.
I'm so glad to hear another clothes lover.
Forget you don't like long emails. Hope you read. Thanks. No, that was great.
Who was it that wrote that?
Chris Edward Meningo.
Ooh, Chris Edward Meningo. You like my clothes?
Beto's here, guys.
Beto!
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only
Beto.
Can you cut in the wickedly talented and then have Alana screaming Beto?
Did I do this last time?
That happened.
Did I do this last time?
Yes,
did I
you
do this in the last episode?
Yes, you did. Brett, I really hope someone heard Brett. That would be so incredible. Steve, what's going on?
I told you I can't stop
Too many
it.
things happening. Discord is just giving me every like 5 seconds of audio.
I told you I can't stop it when it's going because that's how I set it up.
Of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
Of course not.
Beto Guevara sends an email saying, yeah, I got nothing to put here. Hello, Porky Boys. Haven't seen the 3rd episode yet. Time zones. Hope you guys enjoyed it. One more important note. May the King of Wakanda rest in peace. We can only hope that his work and legacy can help Jacob Blake and so many others to get some semblance of justice. Yabambe, Don Beto. Wow, that was wonderful. Wakanda forever.
Serious. Brett.
Is that the right way?
Yes.
Is that the right way?
Oh, is there a? Do I have to have a certain?
No, it's
hand?
just like
it's
this.
just a cross. I thought.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
just a
don't mean
cross.
to do wrong.
My wife tells me one way is right, one way is wrong.
no.
Oh God, I don't know it. Then we the sentiment.
It's the thought
remains
that
the same.
counts. That was horrifying news.
Thank you, Beto. Don't
in the
change.
midst of a year of bad news.
I cried a bunch. Alone in my room. Steve didn't know.
I was streaming when I found out,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an awful experience to have to handle while streaming. Beto, don't waste my time with emails not about the show. Andrew Whitney. Just kidding, it's fine.
Well, I will say Beto should send his thoughts on episode 3 for next week.
Yeah, but when you say that, a bunch of other people are going to do it too.
I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about Beto.
Beto's a part of the show now.
He had really good thoughts during Leftovers.
And he did a pilgrimage to earn his spot.
Andrew Whitney sends an email saying, "All right, booze and goose. We're 3 episodes deep, and I'm still deeply in love with this show. Did I love/hate every minute of this episode because it's really late at night and I'm a baby bitch boy for spooky ghosts?"
Yeah. Dude, I will say, on the West Coast, the sun was still out during this episode, and the last shot of the bodies and all the skeletons, I'm like, well, I'm glad it's not nighttime.
Oh, yeah. What do you think that is? What do you think that's like a tunnel into something?
Do you believe in the power of a curse?
Don't creep me out.
Wait, what's the question? I think that's where all the bodies of the
victims
experiments from that guy are resting in peace.
Do you think
under the elevator shaft below the house?
Does he?
Do you
That's
guys
what I thought.
Do you think that underground tunnel is going to come back in some
Yes,
way?
I think that's what they're going to crawl through. They just talked about him keeping this book at the house. I think they're going to, or whatever, a book of his own spells, whatever. I think they're going to have to go down through there, and then end up in all those I almost said Sherlock Holmes, Indiana Jones.
I think we're never going to see it again.
Ooh. You know what?
Auga.
I'm going to sit firmly in the middle there.
Sit right on that little
I
spike.
hope we come back, but we might not come back. And I think we need to be okay with not coming back.
I'm okay.
But I also think I finally understand the direction of this show. I think that's very important to talk about, is that...
You're saying that or you're reading that?
I'm saying that now. The person said that, and now I'm adding to it. I think that it's important to note that I think we have a direction now.
Yeah.
We know
big
what's going
time.
on. They're looking for the pages of this book like an Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Absolutely.
Well, for at
in
least
love.
one episode, we have direction.
I'm in love.
Oh, Abby Lee's outfit was very
Do you think
pretty,
season
too.
1's going to, like, crescendo in Cthulhu?
I don't know, but I hope if it does, the final episode is called Crescendo in Cthulhu. This show feels extremely Monster of the Week with a general overarching story. We're definitely skipping through time to more significant
Would you call
moments.
it a compounding anthology?
And that might be the show trying to play into Lovecraft. One of the most common things that happens in Lovecraft stories is losing your mind. If the audience has no idea when they are, what they've missed, or what's going to happen next, it leads you to asking dozens of unanswered questions that you could consider some kind of madness.
And that's why it was believable when we watched last week and the screen kept cutting to black.
Sorry, it's longer than usual. Bye-bye. No, that was great, Andrew. That was a great amount. Thank you for the email. Daniel, the Echo Spider, sends his email saying, another goat show. Greatest of all time. Hi there, peeps. I hope everything's Jake with y'all. First thing, I feel so silly. D is short for Diana, and her mom is Hippolyta. Those are Wonder Woman references.
What?
Oh.
What's her mom?
Hippolyta?
That's not how they pronounce it. Is it written?
Hippolyta or
Hippolyta, yeah, that's right.
I really hope we...
Oh my God.
But they do say
No,
Hippolyta.
they say Hippolyta.
Every
time in the show, they say
In
Hippolyta.
Lovecraft Country.
In which Wonder Woman show?
No,
Oh.
in Lovecraft Country, they say Hippolyta.
Is Hippolyta the mother of of Wonder Woman? Does anyone know?
Yeah,
I'll
but
Google it.
Yeah, Hippolyta is Wonder Woman's mom.
All right, different pronunciation.
Spelled
no
the
big
same
deal.
way, different pronunciation.
I'll fight. Yeah, we can fight about this later.
We don't have to fight about it. I'm down
I
with
really
it.
hope we explore Tick's time in Korea.
Tick's time.
Every time it comes up, I'm interested.
Me
Also,
too.
Ouija comes out at any party, and I am done. Out of there. No way, Jose.
Agreed, and I'm glad you feel that way. Keep it.
By the way, this episode was legit scary. Sent from my HBO's obligatory shot of a butt. Okay.
Yeah.
HBO likes to have shows where they sacrifice goats.
Did they
too.
say Hippolyta in the show? Did
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
miss that?
They say
call her that.
Hippolyta every time.
They call her Hippolyta,
Oh,
yeah.
I need to look at that. They call who that?
The mom,
The aunt.
the
The
woman,
mother of Dee.
and the one who's married to
The
George.
the one who's married to George, yeah. The woman who's very
Oh,
sad
okay.
about George's
the one who was
passing.
mourning this episode.
She is Hippolyta.
Oh, I missed that. That must be like them playing into it, but not hitting
What?
the nail.
I
on
mean,
the
if the
head.
book
Wait,
is
what
a
do you
comic book, they're probably just doing comic book references in a fun way.
They've been saying it for more than
That's
this
a good call
episode.
out.
Israel Chavez Lopez sends an email saying, "Hello, BB Boys and Summer Girl. Ecuadorian Dr. Israel here. Freaking hyped about this series. Freaking hyped! First of all, I wanted to answer a question you had on the last podcast about the doctor cutting his own liver and serving it. Liver can actually regenerate. You can have as little as half of your liver, and it will grow back over time.
Okay.
My problem
Answered.
with the scene was actually that the incision for this procedure was too low on the doctor's abdomen. Your liver is located just behind your lowest ribs on your right side.
That's what my mommy tells me.
Everyone feel your liver.
There it is.
Excuse me. I got a little too comfortable. Now about the new episode, I'll keep it short. It totally sold me on the series. I would love if the series is some sort of anthology with an overarching story. Love that the monsters always kill the racists. I love Letitia fucking Lewis. Where's that
We're
one?
talking about a compounding anthology here.
No, say that again one more time. Did I hear that right? Who's empty asses?
Letitia fucking Lewis.
I'm very excited for your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the episode as well. Stay safe, guys, and wear a mask. Matt Robb sends an email, guys. Matt Robb sent in an email, and it says basketball baby face like 100 times, copy and pasted. Basketball baby face, basketball baby face, basketball baby face, basketball baby face.
You know what he's dreaming about tonight?
The basketball baby face. Damn, that thing was creepy as fuck. And then remember when it started
I like
reciting?
that broke Matt.
Yeah.
Dude, remember when it started reciting the like spell too? It was like,
Yeah.
we're gonna get
Oh,
smashed
yeah.
by the locust.
Oh my god.
Whatever they were
Well,
saying.
it's just a baby.
It's just a baby. Roberto Abril says, Haunted Mansion. Hello, Alana, Brett, Steve, and guest. Not this time. Another great episode from Lovecraft Country. Seems like your guys' suspicions were somewhat correct. It seems like we have a sort of linear anthology series where we'll get a different paranormal adventure every episode or two, but there's still some overall story that looks like we'll revisit next week. I, for one, am I, for one, am very interested and have no idea where the story might go next. For all we know, this episode might have just been an outlier.
Sip.
Also, I just wanted to mention that the music so far has been exquisite, and the cover of Sinnerman for the ending theme makes me every time, almost as good as the original by Nina Simone. Anyways, hopefully this isn't too long, since Steve said my email for the Leftovers finale was too long. Hashtag Brett, yes. Hashtag Alana, absolutely. Hashtag guest okay. Hashtag a party.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have it anymore. Roberto. There you go. Thanks, Roberto.
Jackpot.
Dan the Man sends an email saying, Lovecraft Country, Holy Ghost. Some thoughts while watching the episode. That elevator scene. Those Ghost in Letty's room were really cool looking. Why is it when someone goes into a basement, I get tense? Yellow cat / rabbit puppet looking like Fernesto. It really did look like Fernesto.
Oh, I thought it was a
Basements
lion.
are scary because they're just very big coffins.
Yeah. Wow, thanks for making
And
them
I've thought
scarier.
that for a long time.
Thanks for making it scarier and sharing your nightmare with us.
Thanks for making our dreams beautiful tonight.
You're so welcome.
Some MLK, sweet MLK reference. Hell yeah. I played with a Ouija board once. I instantly regretted it. These ghosts are amazing. That is no fake snake. The constant honk in the background is fantastic. Do not mess with Letitia fucking Lewis. What kind of Vigo the Carpathian kind of effect was that?
Yeah.
Where's Jerry with his goat sacrifice? Baby head is pretty funny looking. That elevator scene.
Oh, we didn't talk about the fucking goat. Yeah, that was the
That's
leftover
what I
tie-in.
said. I said HBO loves doing shows where they sacrifice goats.
Oh man, yeah.
Tick's possession effect though. Fuck yeah, that was so cool looking. Get the fuck out of Letitia's house. Whoa, secret tunnel. Okay. This episode was definitely better. I wondered how it was all going to tie together, but bringing back Crazy Witch Lady gets me excited for what's to come. Will Tick get his own spell? Miami Dan signing off. Hashtag Brett yes.
Oh, hi,
Hashtag
Dan.
Brett's face. Hashtag Alana's notes. Hashtag fuck your daughter. Hashtag let's find your bird.
Let's find your bird.
Thanks, Dan.
Canon Mackey sends a thing saying, Holy Ghost. Hello, Alana, Steve, and Brett. I promise this is a real email and not another prank. I felt awful for the fake intro song I sent in and wanted to apologize for it. I'm sorry, and I promise it will not happen again. What? It was great.
That's what got cut off at the last episode?
Oh, did it get cut out?
No, well, it got cut out in the first upload, but it's back.
Okay. All right.
And it's in the video version,
And we
too.
liked it.
And we love it. Yeah, you don't have to apologize at all. That's not an elevator. That needs to be fixed. That's an elevator that you board up doors to and never use again. I wonder if Letitia was worrisome about Atticus's potential snake penis this time around. I love how Atticus was just immediately on board when Letitia said the house was haunted. Of course, they just saw a bunch of fucking monsters.
I pulled that clip and then I got rid of it because it doesn't work as well in just audio, but I love that she's like, my house is haunted. And he's like, all right, talk me through it.
Yeah.
So what? You want us to tell them that wizards exist?
The show set it up to make us believe that Atticus was going to be the heroic Jackie Robinson figure from the story and use the baseball bat against the racist neighbors, but I love the gender reversal with Letitia being an absolute badass with it.
In the blue dress, no less.
100%. Do y'all think the ghosts are going to keep protecting them from the white racist people, or do you think that they are at peace now and are gone? I think
Peace.
I think they're gone. All right.
I hope the people in the neighborhood are like, 3 white people just randomly went missing after they broke into their house. Maybe we don't fuck with them anymore.
Yeah.
That'd be lovely. I do think they're over that storyline. I mean, little bits will play, but I don't think they're going to go into that neighborhood. It seems like they move on real quick. Next thing.
All right, final email comes from Marcos Sosa. And it says, Letty didn't tell the butler what she wanted. In episode 2, Letty never asks for the salt. The butler knew what she wanted. I don't know what it means. Love and light, Marcos Sosa.
Amen, brother.
All right.
Only time will tell.
Well, guys, that's it. That's it.
Can I say one more thing I thought of?
Yes, please, go for it.
I told Steve that I have a wishful thought that I'm hoping that Uncle George comes back as like...
Oh, as a spirit helper.
As like a ghost or like something dead.
Yeah.
And is helpful in some way.
Ooh, I hope Uncle George comes back as something dead.
Or he learns how to bring people back from the dead.
I'm wondering how the Dracula references are going to factor in, if at all.
Me too. Does Dracula bring anyone back from the dead?
No, no. But Dracula...
I mean, no, he makes people immortal. He doesn't bring them
His
back from the dead.
Dracula knowledge really helped them out of the pickle in the first episode. So that might be all the Dracula stuff we get.
I don't
but
know.
who
They
knows?
kept playing into that Dracky.
Who knows? They also did another Count of Monte Cristo moment to show us that
a close-up.
Tick's dad is he likes that book.
A close-up, no less.
Yeah, a close-up, no less, no more.
Kevin.
All right. Well,
I read that book in high school.
Oh, did you? I've
we'll
never.
save it for your Count of Monte Cristo podcast. What if you did a Count of Monte Cristo podcast?
I feel like that's not coming. No. You do the book, then the Jim Caviezel movie, and that's it.
And that's it. That sounds
feel
like a
like
great
that's
season.
not coming.
That sounds like a great season of comedy. All right, mothers and fathers and childrens and brothers and sisters.
And gender neutral identifiers.
Yes, also non-binary, non-gender fluid.
And computers.
And computers. And robots. Guys,
And
thank
ghosts.
you. And ghosts. Thank you so much for listening to the show, supporting the podcast. The easiest way to support the podcast would be to go to youtube.com/thevalleycast and like and subscribe. Well, subscribe to that channel if you would. And then like all the videos that are First Time Show videos. You can like the other ones too. Elliot has a podcast with, what's his name? Oh, shit. Rollins. His last name is Rollins. God damn it, I keep forgetting. Peter Rollins. He's my friend! So anyway, yes, please support the podcast over there. Become a patron of the Valley Folk, where you can also get some sweet new treats, and we're working on some new special shows that only patrons can get, and other things. So support people who are working hard during the quarantine to entertain you and do their best to do so on a weekly, consistent basis. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the show. We hope you enjoy it, and I cannot wait to see where this show goes next. Thank you guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.